How the Grinch Stole Christmas live action. Okay, I gotta talk about this. Okay, so if you listen to my previous day, which was the How the Grinch Stole Christmas cartoon, that is my definitive version of the Grinch. I saw this later, like years after I had grown up watching the animated version. So going into this, I was going like, okay, well, at first glance, Jim Carrey being the Grinch, I think he looks really good. The makeup looks really good. Uh, I just don't know how this is gonna play out. And also something that I don't quite understand about Dr. Seuss adaptations is that back when they were doing the animated adaptations for them, they were like 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, and they fit. But then them trying to drag out basically a 15-page book into a 90 plus minute movie, it's like I don't know how this is going to work. Like what more are you going to add? What more is going to help the story move along? Like what are you going to do? And well, I think mostly they do a good job with this. Mostly. It's just I don't particularly care that it's all live action. And it's because when you take, I think, the from the mind of Dr. Seuss, when you take, something like you look at the original animated cartoon, and you look at that and you go like, wow, this is like all like different creatures and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, this looks a little, um this would be kind of like iffy to do in real life. But then when they do it, it's like, yeah, I'm not too sure about this. It looks like normally the town of Whoville was actually like an actual town that had like actual residents in it, and then all of a sudden the government came in and put in a toxin that then deformed everybody, and now they believe that they're a race called the Who's, and so they're like, hey, let's just name the town Whoville. Kind of like that. It's just like, but what? It kind of reminds me of that. That's why like I don't like the Cat in the Hat movie they did a couple years later, because one, that movie's just an absolute train wreck, and two, it just doesn't make sense to be in live action. It just makes no sense. But that's besides the point. But with this, I think when you're trying to make something that I think works better as an animated uh, uh, project, it doesn't really resonate well. But that's just me. And because of the Cat in the Hat being an absolute abysmal movie, it was actually Dr. Seuss's wife that told Hollywood to knock it off with the live action movies, and said like, okay, any Dr. Seuss adaptations from now on need to be animated. So now that's why, with every Dr. Seuss thing since then, it's been all like CGI and all that stuff. So I honestly would like to say thank you, because not necessarily for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but mainly for Cat in the Hat, because oh my god, I will never get that time back. But when it comes to How the Grinch Stole Christmas, I think Jim Carrey did a very, very good job. I really think he did, especially since he said that being in the makeup, I think he said on Graham Norton that it was like being buried alive every day, and it took like half a day to just put the makeup on. And he even, yeah, if you watch he was on Graham Norton. If you watch that clip, he talks about yeah, how it was like 7 or 8 hours or something like that. Um, he actually went to the director, who's Ron Howard, and said like, yeah, I can't do this. To then the producer came in and had somebody who taught CIA operatives how to endure torture. So he's like, okay, when you start to spiral, like do something, keep something occupied. So like, if you're just standing still and you're slowly freaking out, like turn the TV on, eat something, or like keep doing something. You got to be like on your feet. And then he said like, oh, and the other thing was smoke as much as you can. So there'd be times where people would be walking around and Jim Carrey is sitting on a chair, and he's just smoking a cigarette, but he looks like the Grinch. So it's kind of like funny to be like, oh god, yeah, that had to be abysmal. So I applaud Jim Carrey for going through the like just absolute makeup hell of this movie. So I applaud him for that. So I think he does a really really great job. Um, but everything outside of the actual like characters and set pieces, well, I think the set pieces they were able to capture pretty well in live action. Didn't care for anybody else. I was just like, I don't really care. Um, they added backstory to why Grinch doesn't like Christmas. I think works, uh, but I think I talked about this in my animated review, but I saw this tweet where somebody said, I think the Grinch would be a lot nicer if the people down in Whoville wouldn't sing songs of how much he sucks for 5 minutes. And I was just like, yeah, that would help. That would definitely help. So I think overall, I know a lot of people that say that they love this movie, and I'm just in the camp of, yeah, like it's passable. Like I saw it, and I really don't have the urge to go and rewatch it again. So it's kind of like I don't know, it's a juggling act, because there's parts in it where I'm just like, okay, I'll watch this. Okay, I'll watch this. And with Jim Carrey's performance, I think he's able to bring something to it that I don't think a lot of other actors could have done. And especially since he was improv the whole time, like the whole part where he's about to make Max's dog his reindeer, and he actually is puts on a uh, director's cap and is trying to be a director. That's actually him parodying the director Ron Howard, and it's really kind of funny when you think about that. It's like, oh, he's totally like just parodying the director, like as the director is watching him. Like, okay. So then it shows that like Ron Howard looked at that and knew what he was doing, and just went like, that's too funny. Like, just leave it in. And like, I'm not gonna be this like boo hiss man where I'm like gonna cut it out because I feel offended. No. And then another thing is like when he does like towards the third act, when he enters Whoville, and people are like driving past him, and he shouts like, "Oh, it's because I'm green, isn't it?" It's that little like, "Oh, whoops." um, and I heard that somewhere there was like a more mature rated cut for this, and it's kind of like I would just more like to see like other like takes where Jim Carrey's just improvising the whole time, because I think that would be kind of cool. So but at the end of the day, I don't hate this movie. I don't hate it. Um, I saw it and I was like, okay, like I understand why people like really like it. I understand why people love it. But to me, it's like, okay, like it's to me it's kind of middle of the road, where it's kind of like I saw it. I really don't have the urge to go and watch it again. Uh, but there's every once in a while when I think about a scene of like Jim Carrey improvising that I do get a chuckle at, and it's one of those kind of movies where it's like yeah, I've seen it. I don't really have the urge to go and rewatch it again, but I do recognize that like, okay, yeah, it's one of those movies where it's like, okay, like I saw it, Great. So I would give this probably an average. Like I said, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm not against it. It's just when it comes to like Dr. Seuss stuff being in live action, it looks really like just bizarre. And it's like, yeah, I don't think this belongs in live action, but at the end of the day, I think they were able to do a pretty decent job with the movie. And, at the end of the day, if it's a movie where like, okay, I don't really need to watch it again, I'll be like, but there were parts in it that I think about every once in a while, and it does get a little chuckle out of me. So they succeeded.
You're the Grinch!
Jim Carrey is the Grinch.